Here's maybe a little fun follow-up question. You have answered this in different capacities, but how would you say you foster a culture of safety and innovation within VITA?
Yeah, look, I think it's one that is close to my heart, actually, because as a leader, and I don't think of myself as a traditional leadership style. I think in this industry, you tend to see, and no offense to anyone out there, but that really traditional patriarchal style leader that is do as I say, it's that push down. Versus, I really take pride in the fact that as our team, we foster it from the ground up. And, I roll my sleeves up and I get my hands dirty alongside my team each and every day. And that brings me such joy to know that, if someone needs to be out there answering the phones, I'm just as happy to jump on the phone as well as do a conference presentation. I can go from a meeting out on site with a toolbox talk with a bunch of construction peers, as well as meet with a minister. I think, being across that business is really important to me so that I have connection to what my team is experiencing each and every day. But I think that culture of change is around, as a leader, we have to make it safe for people to get it wrong, because we all get it wrong. I get it wrong. When we're not perfect, we are human and mistakes happen. And sometimes the greatest ideas on paper look wonderful, but when you go to implement, oh my God, you go, why the hell did we think that was a great idea? They said, this is terrible. But I think it's around fostering that that's actually proof that you're trying. Because if people are getting it wrong and your ideas are failing, it means that you're actually trying new things and you're getting and you're putting yourself out there and you're willing to be vulnerable to try new things. So I think it's really important as industry and as leaders that we encourage that behavior. We shouldn't punish failure when people are learning from it. And I think that's the big difference, because people go, oh, well, if you're not challenging failure, you're just going to get everything wrong all the time. No, no, no. I always put a caveat on it. Failure where it creates learning is powerful and absolutely needed. So I always say to my team, if we get this wrong, it's okay, because we're going to learn from it and we're going to do it so much better next time. But if we're making the same mistake continually and we're not learning and we're not changing our approach and how we think, then there's absolutely a problem. And my board should absolutely be pulling me up and going, Mel, what the hell are you doing? Like, this is lunacy, because it would be.
Yeah.
So I think that's the difference. I think we've got to lean in and not be afraid of getting things wrong. And we have to realize that nothing is ever going to be perfect. And one of the ethos that I brought into the team from day one is it's all about progress, not perfection, because we will never be perfect. And if we set perfect as our goal, all I am doing is setting myself and my team and my board up to fail each and every day. And that's a horrible environment to work in. Who wants to come to work and know that that's the goal? Versus if we challenge ourselves to make progress, if everything we do is taking either that baby step or that big step or whatever size in between, then we are absolutely succeeding. If we can look back at the end of each year, each quarter, and say, hey, look at what we got done. Like, this is amazing. We changed the dial on this. Even if it's only by 5 degrees, hell, that's still change. And that is fantastic. So I think it's really around that culture of celebrating the fact that we are making change and celebrating the learnings when we fail, and don't hide it. I think as leaders, the worst thing you can do is pretend that you've got it all right and you know all the answers, because I absolutely don't. There are days where I sit there and I'm like, okay, Tim, how are we going to make this work? Because I don't have all the answers. I'm still just one person. But I think it's about, as leadership, being vulnerable to ask for help and show your team that you are willing to do that, to be vulnerable to say, to put your hand up to industry and say, hey, I absolutely agree there's a problem here, but I'm not sure we've quite worked out what the solution's going to be, and we're going to need some time to work this through, and bring industry on that journey with you. Because I think, as we move forward, I think there's a real power in vulnerability. There's a real power in being able to ask for help and actually being authentic in that space. I think, that builds such trust. And as long as you continue to put your hand up and say, hey, I stuffed this up, but you know what? I'm going to work my ass off to get it right and I'm going to fix it. I think that changes the conversation from this thing about being perfect and everything's got to be 100% right before we try something, to actually an environment of taking educated and intelligent risk, because we all need to take risk as much as we're in safety. And everybody goes, but safety is about eliminating the risks and it's all going to be great. That's not the case. We actually have to take educated risk to drive innovation and change and to create better outcomes for people to work safely. And we've just got to get comfortable with that. And what does that look like for all of us? So Yeah, so my culture is, yep, we're all going to get it wrong from time to time, but Jesus, we're going to learn from it and we're going to create some really great outcomes from those learnings. So let's just embrace it, and it's progress, not perfection.